guys so much for coming. Like she said, I am Maddie O'Malley. I am with Architectural Digest. I am the market editor. So excited to be here talking about luxury and to be at KBIS talking about luxury and kitchen and bath design. We have great panelists here. Before we get started, I do want to quickly talk about something that we're super excited about at Architectural Digest right now, which is AD Pro. If you're not familiar with AD Pro, we left these little cards on your seats so you guys can check it out later. But launching April 1st, I've got some good words on this. On April 1st, we're introducing the authoritative members-only destination for design professionals by Architectural Digest. AD Pro will give you access to exclusive community events, job listings, quarterly trend reports, and industry news you can't read anywhere else, plus access to the full magazine archive. So you guys can sign up on arcdigestpro.com, and that will start April 1st. So we're really excited about it. It's going to be really cool, really on trend, like news every single day. We've got a lot of exciting new editors that are working on it. And so, yeah, we're really excited about it. All right, let's get started. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Alison Picard. I'm located in San Francisco. I've been an interior designer or a part of the interior design profession for, I swear, as long as I've been able to breathe. So, but professionally speaking, since I was 18, I started working when I was in college for a design firm. And I own my own practice, which I started when I was 23, which is crazy. Wow. And now I maintain that practice, and I also am the principal of interior design for Sutro Architects in San Francisco. So we do a lot of master planning, high-end interior design, but isn't all interior design high-end, kind of? And I love it. I mean, I love it every single day. So that's me.
Hello, everybody. My name is Richard Anuszkiewicz, and I am the Executive Director of Interiors and Casework at Alt Breeding Associates Architecture, based in Washington, D.C. I studied interiors at Virginia Tech, and specifically it was an NKBA accredited program. And I actually that's when I really found my passion for luxury kitchen design. And so that's something that I've been practicing ever since I graduated school and really dove into that passion in the kitchen and bath realm.
Hello, I am Carolina Gentry, and I am half of the design duo Pulp Design Studios. We have 2 offices, one in Dallas and one in Seattle, and we are a full-service interior design firm that does a wide variety of things from renovations to full construction projects.
Yes, and we also have, and I'm Beth Jo Tolo. I'm the second half of Pulp Design Studios. And we do focus on high-end residential. And we also have a licensed textile collection with Escher, along with some other products and a retail component on our site. And we just love design. We do it every day, and we love all facets of product and home interiors. So,
great. All right, so the topic of our panel today is luxury. So I wanted to hear from each of you what you define as modern luxury. So, Alison, maybe you just want to go ahead and start?
Well, I think a space that's truly luxurious is one that's custom tailored to the needs and desires of the people who are living within the space. I think that there's so many, just like countless ways in which to bomb out your space with technology and materials, which are kind of the almost like givens, but of what you can access today. But I really do think it's that custom tailored, how do I want it and how do I get it? And then to be able to live in a space like that is truly luxurious.
Yeah, and I would say certainly to that point, it's really taking that into the idea of the full experience, right? It's completely experiential, is luxury. So, the sights, the sounds, the taste, everything matters, every little detail, every surface, whatever it may be, that's truly overall heightening a true luxury experience.
Definitely custom, and like Richard said, taking care of all those 5 senses. And a lot of people just want to have an easy way of living. So making sure that you're taking care of all of their needs and making sure that they can live life in a simple way.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's many different levels of luxury. I mean, you have your super, super high end, and then there's somewhere, something in between there too. And I think, when you really just cater to a client's needs so that you're improving their everyday life and you're making sure that they have those happy moments in their home, and when they turn around, they see everything they love, and it improves their life. And I mean, I think that's just the true definition of luxury at any level.
Yeah.
So.
And how do you guys incorporate luxury into your relationships with your clients? Like when you're talking about install, or you're talking about just, working with clients, it's not just luxury in the design itself, but in the experience. How do you guys work with that? Maybe you guys want to start.
Yeah, well, we actually have a whole process that we've built around catering to the luxury element for our clients, and we have this process that we call our Splendid living process, and we have a full questionnaire at the beginning that asks them everything about their home, how they entertain, who lives in the
Fashion,
home, where they shop,
yeah.
where they travel, and that allows
magazines
us to
they like to read.
Yeah, yes,
Architectural Digest.
It's always Architectural Digest.
Always.
And we incorporate that into the process so that we're able to surprise them and give them things that they didn't even know that they needed. And I think that that's part of really great design and catering to the luxury of it all.
Yeah.
And of course, throughout the process, we try to incorporate things into the process that make them feel special and make them feel important. And obviously, white glove installation. Right. The clients feel special and catered to, and they feel like the process is easy. I mean, I think that's the most important part. Is most of our clients are so busy. I mean, we're all so busy, so it's nice to be able to give them something that kind of takes the load off of the decision making and the effort. So
yeah.
And I would say, certainly it's the idea to further expand on that. It's like setting the expectation to some degree. Like there's certain clients that, are coming in with some sort of idea, and you ultimately, when you're developing their home and you're thinking about luxury, I often, in the sense of like kitchen design, I start putting an appliance package out in front of them. Like I really believe that the La Cornue, which is a true, luxury element, is the perfect range for your space. And just like starting to plant those seeds, I think really sets the expectation of the caliber of the project and really heightens, again, that very luxury experience.
I'll piggyback on that because I think it's getting to know your clients is so important, and like who are they? Like, do they want to be a co-author of this project, right, or do they want to kind of just hand it over and like arrive when the set of keys is like and everything is completely perfect? And I think understanding that expectation is huge because you ultimately aren't going to be the one living in the space. And if there's some person who is like wishing to be a part or to contribute the thing that they found or that they experienced in a hotel or on a vacation, like incorporating those things and being really cognizant of paying attention to those little bits and bobs like at the beginning is super huge too.
Definitely. So what do you guys think is the role of the kitchen within the house? Richard, do you want to?
Yeah, so I certainly think that we all can agree that a kitchen is much more than the utilitarian space it once was, right? So it once was that strictly utilitarian space meant to work, but now it is our new living room. It's truly that space where everyone hangs out, and we've heard the kind of, it's a bit cliche to say, but it's like that, the heart of the home, right? And it's where everyone
I just said that yesterday.
It's where everyone naturally gathers. It's where the kids are doing homework and where your friends are coming over to hang out with you, right? There's so much more of a dynamic happening in the kitchen. And so that's really, to think about it in a much more multifaceted idea, the fact that it's just, there's a lot more things happening there. So it has to ultimately function differently.
Right.
It's definitely the room that everybody uses all the time. I mean, you're going to use it entertaining on a daily basis, and you're also...
You can't avoid the kitchen.
You can't avoid the kitchen, exactly. Whether you even have somebody cooking for you, you still need to go through there. But also, that is the part of the home that people invest the most amount of money in, is kitchen and bath. And so you're also going to get a return on investment when you do that as well.
Awesome. So what trends are you guys seeing right now at KBIS? We have been walking this show. I know I have been walking this show, aisles and aisles and aisles of new companies and exciting things happening. So what are some trends you guys are seeing that you're excited to use?
Well, I think that in my walk through this morning, I saw a lot of like industrial design being reinterpreted in a very luxurious way. So keeping kind of like the restaurant style, sink faucets that can kind of pull out and that can look more institutional, but using them in like the polished brass and having like really fine, very bespoke like handles and knobs and things like that, kind of merging the two together, I think is a really great, awesome trend that can be used in so many different ways.
Totally.
Color everywhere.
Yeah, we're here
all
as
over the place.
NKBA insiders, so we're like kind of here to spot the trends, and there's
Right.
color everywhere. People are incorporating color into the hardware, into the plumbing. It's been crazy. I mean, it's cool to
Appliances
see.
and
I mean,
just pops of
yeah,
color.
because usually you would expect that when you would go to Europe, like when you go to the kitchen and bath shows
Right.
in Europe, like they would lead the way on color, and now I think it's kind of like flipping. Like we're kind of leading the way on color, and they're starting to kind of tone down and be a bit more sleek now. So that's been fun to see. The other thing, that we hoped to see in previous KBIS shows was a lot more integrated technology, but this show, it's like everything seems to have integrated technology. And we were at a dinner last night with Thermador, and we were talking about what their approach is and how they're, it's hard to keep up. As technology changes, it's hard to keep up. If you invest in $10,000 refrigerator, you want to make sure that it's not like completely hooked up to something that's going to be obsolete in a couple of years. So, the manufacturers are also starting to think of ways to integrate technology into their products to where it can roll with the times.
Like saying good morning and your coffee's done.
Yeah,
and
like they
made.
That's
so crazy.
Yeah. Well, Kohler has a bathtub that you can say, Alexa, fill my tub from the other room, and it'll fill it at the temperature and the level that you want. I mean, I about fell over when I heard that because I was like, please, yes, I want that bathtub. So it sounds amazing.
And I'm definitely loving the resurgence of dark counters. I think for so long we've been seeing like the really light white counters, the marble look, and now we're seeing, dark grays, dark blacks, like a lot
moody,
more interesting.
yeah.
More exactly like a
Dramatic.
moody palette that I think is really fun to explore. And then, we've all heard the conversation that it's like, okay, what's the white kitchen? What's the next thing? And I still think you're seeing certain cabinets in lighter finishes, but they're exploring textures now. And there's like these beautiful bleached woods and ceruzes that are really fun to explore. Still a neutral palette, but it's much more textural.
How do you guys feel about working with color? Are you excited to work with color?
Yes.
Are your clients excited about color, or are they freaked out?
We love working with color. I mean, that's like, you can see we're a little wild sometimes, but we try to keep it toned down. That was for an ad campaign for TXT. It was a little wild, but we love color. I mean, color. I feel like our clients are becoming so much less risk adverse than they have been in the past, and so
exciting.
Designing with color is so much fun. Like we love mixing with pattern and color. We just came out with a licensed textile collection with Escher. It has a ton of color, and it's been fun. It's selling really well, which is a total indicator of what the end user is looking for. And I mean, color is just, when done right, it can really be something that adds an element of excitement and passion, and it makes things more of a conversation piece. So,
And even if you have a client that's a little more conservative, that's definitely areas like the powder room or somewhere like that where they can be a little more adventurous, and you can add, a pop of color in a plumbing fixture or something like that. Just add some drama.
And I think, to that point, it's being smart with color. It's thinking about it like we often take an approach where there's certain, the architecture or the envelope, if you will, can be very tone on tone or overall neutral. And then it's just using color in very strategic ways that heightens the experience. So, you might walk into this white room and then you have this little jewel box of a high lacquered room, as an auxiliary space, or an amazing wall covering that's very graphic and colorful, whatever it may be. But, using it in a really smart way that enhances the experience.
I want to brag on you for a minute because Richard designed the booth for Monogram, and
It's gorgeous. Go by and look at it.
There is a unit, like a cabinetry unit, that has concealed refrigeration in it, and it's like a plum color, and it is beautiful, but it also kind of reads as like a really soothing neutral, but it's a color. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, no, that was was a fun opportunity to be a part of that. And, there's 3 different kitchens in that space, all very interesting. And again, this really layered textural approach. But, exploring the idea of color was really important. So we did a lot of different high contrast elements. And even on the high lacquered piece that Beth is referencing, I explored a hide hair counter that is really interesting with inlay belts on it. So just thinking about the fact that, appliances or a kitchen, it doesn't necessarily have to be all this really hard surface. Like you can really start to explore soft finishes as well that are durable. And so, hide hair is actually extremely easily wiped. And, and so we really explored and had fun with that in the booth.
Are there any trends you're staying away from?
I feel like the white kitchen, if we're talking kitchens,
Yeah.
The basic white kitchen. I mean, white kitchens are still really beautiful, but they have to have a sense of interest, a sense of texture, a sense of contrast. Probably the farmhouse style. We kind of stay away from that a little bit, just because it's not our personal aesthetic, but that's a huge trend that we never really dabbled in much, and our clients haven't really asked for it much either.
Even the white kitchen, people are always going to like a white kitchen. It's
Yeah.
just taking it to the next level and making it interesting in a different way.
Right.
Yeah, distinction. I think that's totally the key. It's like, how do you make your space, if you are playing in those palettes that are more trendy, if you will, but how do you ultimately make it distinctive? And think about the longevity of it, right? Like using it in a really smart way. So again, like if you're referencing the certain color palette or whatnot that you might be really into in the moment, just using it in a smart way so that there's longevity in the home.
Yeah, I think coming back to the color thing, white kitchens are always going to be a crowd pleaser, but it is this element of adding the color and the hide hair. I mean, that's incredible, is what's going to set your kitchen apart. And I think that right now the market is very saturated with mass production. And so in the home, if you can really achieve something that says, you live here versus I live here, is incredible. And so the color and the hide hair and all of that is where it's really critical to start earning your dollars in terms of design. That's what we contribute.
Totally. What are some materials you guys are liking?
Well, now that I've heard about the hide hair, I'm like,
that's
everybody gets hide hair.
Yeah, talk about luxury. Hide hair on the countertop.
That's so chic.
But since I haven't used hide hair yet, one of my favorite is different types of glass and mirror and metal mesh. I love a metal mesh, and if you can layer it on top of a mirror or a bronze mirror, antique mirror, adding that kind of into the mix of your panel design is a great way to kind of break up miles and miles of millwork if you have a big kitchen, and it's a way to kind of make it feel really intimate and jewel boxy if you've got a small kitchen. So I love the metals and the glasses for sure.
And light reflection.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I love that. And actually, if you use that on an inset panel, it actually looks like you're looking through the panel, but you're actually just getting the reflection. So you can still keep messy things in your cabinet. So
Anything other than hide hair?
No, I always am very much about pushing the boundaries of how to execute materials in unique ways. And so even, to reference the booth, there's patent leather doors as well that have this beautiful croc imprinted. It's a cabinet door, but it's wrapped in a leather face. And, I love the idea of metal work. I love mixing metals and doing really interesting things with metals, because I think for so long in millwork or cabinetry, it was just always wood, right? So it's what else can you use in the sense of materials to make it more interesting? So really exploring unique materials, executing them differently. I'm all about a good antique mirror as well, or some sort of, unique surface that creates a little bit of a juxtaposition. And certainly, thinking about just taking something like a leather, a metal, and using it in a very different way that it ultimately creates the unexpected.
Interesting woods, and for sure, antique mirror is really popular right now. And also, we've done metal inlays, brass inlays in cabinets and things like that that just add a little bit of pop. It's really nice.
Since they stole all the ones I was going to mention, I've really been enjoying seeing Terrazzo come back, weirdly.
Oh, I love that too.
Because it's coming back in this really hip and cool way, and talk about luxury and customization. I mean, you can tailor that to exactly what you're looking for. Whereas, with marble, which I obviously still love marble, you're kind of at the mercy of nature with that, and which is a beautiful thing. But to be able to fully customize, I just think it's a fun new not new, old, but a fun thing that's coming back that
It's
I think
also
is like
bulletproof.
Yeah.
So it's like indestructible.
I know.
Who doesn't want that?
So how do you guys incorporate luxury when you're working with a budget? And that doesn't necessarily have to be like, some teeny tiny budget and you're working with some low-end client or something. Obviously, you guys all work with luxury people, but everybody has a budget at some point. So how do you guys incorporate luxury?
We call it the ceiling.
The ceiling.
Have we reached our ceiling yet? No, I think that if I go back to the idea where luxury is really like tailoring a space that is appropriate for the people who are there, there are all sorts of ways to, this goes beyond kitchen and bath, but also like what furniture are you using? Can we use like soft-sided bar stools that are more like club chairs rather than like small stool? Like what can you add into the space without really like nuking the whole like floor plan? And I think that always paint. I mean, paint is your clear winner if you can get a good high gloss finish on regular old cabinets. I mean, that's always going to make things feel luxurious and new and fresh.
Yeah, and I think, to further expand on the idea that budget at times can have a bit of a negative connotation, but, whether it's the...
For Richard.
Whether it is, a $500,000 home or a $15 million home, believe it or not, there's still budgets still allocated for each of those in the sense of new construction, right? And so, we really just try to work with our clients on being smart of where to allocate those dollars. So thinking about, of course, like your primary spaces, the kitchen, your living spaces, your master bedroom and master suite, obviously those are getting more allocation of the overall budget, right? And then, in thinking about auxiliary spaces like the, guest bathrooms. There's a lot of homes now that have 3 to 5 guest bathrooms, right? And those can add up pretty quickly if you're using cost-effective materials. So thinking about like pre-manufactured vanities that are super well styled and ultimately, good quality, like being really smart about those things that it can pack style, but save a little bit in more of those auxiliary spaces, I think can really help extend a budget and, and go a lot further.
I mean, I think for our firm, I think we're a little bit different than you both because we do work on like $10 million homes, but we also have clients who just want to do a kitchen. They really don't have a ton of money. So we have literally had to become the masters of like making it work,
And also, I mean, we all have clients that have second homes and they're not going to spend as much money on a second or third home than they will in the main home.
So for us, it's really about using the materials you have the budget for in really creative ways. So, it might be mixing them up in different ways. Paint is obviously our best friend. We do a ton of wall covering. I know a lot of people think of that as like an added budget item, but if you can really kind of use some really more simplistic materials in your kitchen and then add some fun, crazy wall covering and fun lighting, like, the jewelry, the hardware. I mean, it's always, adding those more custom touches in smaller ways helps take your dollar really far and makes your home look way more custom. So, I mean, we have to do that all the time. And then, of course, we also have really great, amazing projects with great budgets too, but it's, they're still in the same boat where we have to figure out how to make it work, so.
I also think, too, like, if you start at the craziest thing you can imagine, like, and the craziest material, most expensive thing, and your client's like, that's amazing, but not for this, because we have the 5 extra bathrooms. We have all this program, and we need furniture and drapery at the end of the day. Sometimes the best spaces that we've created have come from the dialing back. And like, okay, we've seen what you can do, but now show us how we can actually like have something that's just as beautiful for half of that. So
like the value engineering.
It's like
the
it's almost like the design challenge of it. And so you're like, oh shoot, it's like you mourn the design for like a minute, and then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, but if you do, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, that's way better anyway. So I don't know.
That's so true, and I think to that point, I would also say though, there's every once in a while there's those pieces that do, it's like, man, if they just opened up that wall a little bit further, you could like even further, take it to the next level. And so what I would say to that is there's certainly in the VE phase, there's ways to almost make the design better. But if there is that one element that you're like, man, they weren't into that cost, but I know it's going to be better. I always encourage any designer to loop back to that as the project keeps progressing, because I think you can have a lot of success in the sense of as it starts to come together, the clients ultimately has built a longer relationship with you, is starting to trust you, through this overall process, seeing it come together. You can be like, you know what, like I would really love for you to splurge for that extra, marble slab in your kitchen, whatever it may be. I know it was above the budget, but I really think it's going to go the extra mile. And it's so often that if you, revisit it and come back to it, that a client's actually, willing to spend it. And so I always encourage people to show their best, because I do think if you face value, sell yourself short, then you're not going to ultimately achieve your best designs.
Okay, opposite question. If you guys were designing your own kitchen or bath, what would be your idea of the ultimate, like, splurge, luxury, no budget fantasy world? What would you do?
I'm sure Richard can answer that really quickly. No?
Yeah, I mean, I love book match stone. So, and we've been able to do really beautiful kitchens that have like full, book matching behind the stove, or like an entire wall of, whenever it's done, I always think like, that is so beautiful, because nobody else can have that. Like, that's a stone that came from the earth with very like, individual markings. And it's one of those things where I'm always like, oh, I've got house envy now, So I think if I was to just like have no budget, it would be to really go full bore into like book matching some massive, crazy, veined pieces of marble, many pieces of marble, book matched.
I can go. I have a long list. I want the most amazing bathroom, fully automated, Epsom salt, magic. I want a bar in the bathroom with a beverage center.
Totally.
We've done that for clients. The clients love
I've
that.
been seeing that.
Yeah,
here.
like
People are doing that.
I want a door with a lock so my kids can't come in. My husband can't come in. I want like a chaise lounge. I want this whole space with a view. I've got the whole thing. I'll stand there for hours. I'll read books. I'll get drunk. It would be great.
Sounds like a blast.
I don't know. I think that's difficult. It's, for me, the kitchen, I cook every single day, so anything that would make my life easier in the kitchen, whether it's interior cabinet organization tools or anything like that, and just top-of-the-line appliances, and maybe just integrated technology in that.
And I love the idea of a super boutique-esque master closet that is just like blowing your mind. The Rodeo Drive of closets, right? That's just
For your chagrin
For their jacket.
so you're, just thinking big, but really smart of showcasing the proper pieces, but also having good storage. And, I just think that's a really fun opportunity, and the idea of ultimate presentation, in a closet. It can really like heighten that experience. Like, think about like opening that drawer and having like suede lined drawers, or like something really fun, right? And, a beautiful exotic wood, like a Macassar ebony high gloss cabinet, really moody lit, like highlighting really unique elements, or, ultimately pieces that are really important to you. Like, I think that could be so amazing.
That's awesome.
I didn't realize we were talking about closets and baths. I thought it
Yeah,
was just
I was going to open it up to,
We were talking about
anything.
closets.
I know, like, get
Anything
comfortable,
in the
people.
house. Ultimate luxury anywhere in the house, too. So
Yeah.
you're
Well,
welcome to answer that.
We just finished a project that had the master. You had to like go through the master bathroom, which was huge and palatial and beautiful, through to this huge dressing room, and all of the millwork was just perfect. And she is this fabulous woman in San Francisco who has like many gowns. Like, part of our process was like going through her gown closet so we could get everything that needed to be housed in this closet. And so I think about that closet often, because we did do like the velvet lined drawers and the integral benches, and everything just led perfectly into like the warm kind of steamy space of the bathroom. And the whole thing, I like imagine her, I'm like, oh, like she's getting ready for the ball, and it's glamorous and it's lovely. And I think about, I'm probably not as glamorous as she is at all, but I thought, like, as far as the space was laid out, it was so luxurious. Like, you'd never had to leave that space. You could do your entire process and then just be like, open the doors and ready. So,
Well, and you just also touched on an idea you were talking about earlier about getting kind of into the head of your clients too, and trying to embody them, maybe.
I love embodying like the what's going on in some of their heads, and
Yeah.
like it's interesting because everybody's so different and their program is so different that like when you're tasked with inventorying a gown closet, you're like, yes, that is what I'm doing today. I'm inventorying a gown closet, and that is going to like push our design so much further, and we're going to actually get this space that's perfect for a person who wears gowns multiple times a month. And so, like, that's a challenge because that's not my reality, but it's her reality. And then designing to it and really executing on that is like, yes, like I earned my pay today.
It's so funny because when you finish a project, like the clients don't realize that you have been in their head and like thinking about them and thinking about like the intricacies of their life for like a year and a half sometimes or more. And it like becomes kind of creepy because you're like, I've been thinking about you for so long.
I'm a total creep.
Like, and they don't realize, I'm like,
Or
like,
you're a marriage counselor sometimes.
Yeah, a therapist, counselor,
it's
everything.
such a fun process, but it's like sometimes they don't always realize how we're in their heads constantly. It's funny.
We have one client that we've done multiple residences for, and we have this kind of what, like, I guess I make a face, and she's like, oh, here it is, the face. And I'm like, what? I'm like, my face is like, I'm not doing anything. She's like, oh, you're doing it. And I know I'm not going to get what I just asked for, and you're going to get, it's this funny thing when she's like, no, we're in each other's heads, and that's great. And that's what gives these like lasting relationships between design professional and client, which really that's what it is. You're in their most personal space. And so you have to be empathetic to the relationship and really be a part of their existence in their life.
No, it's so true. It's kind of like you're helping them write their story, right? It's kind of like you're really helping them, and like to your point of like the
realizing
ball
their
gowns
best
or whatever.
life.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're literally helping them, ultimately achieve exactly that best lifestyle experience.
So where do you guys find inspiration?
Well, I always, this is a little cliche, but I always find it in nature. Because when you're outside or on a hike or on a trip or at the ocean or in the forest, I mean, it really doesn't, like outside of this convention center, you're seeing so many materials and colors and things come together. Yeah. And oftentimes you're like, wow, I'm seeing something new. And that's amazing. That would go together perfectly in a sofa and a chair or whatever it is. But also, I think just in like mixing the materials and seeing like how things come together. Because if it works in nature, it's going to work in your house. Totally. And so I think that weather and nature is like a huge, like that's where I derive a lot of inspiration.
Yeah.
So I was joking in the back before when we were like coming out here. I was joking like, does anyone have an aux cord? Because I'm like ready to plug in my phone.
Every time we traveled with him a lot, and every time we get in a cab or an Uber for a Lyft, he literally leans over and goes, "Do you have an aux cord?" to the driver, and then just puts his music on, and we're like, "Oh my God, why Bieber again?"
He even wanted us to walk into a theme song today.
I'm all about a good intro song.
We should
And, just thinking about like that so creates like a good creative mood and just like really gets you in the zone. So I love the idea of music and just like how it can inspire you. And, I was even talking about this, the idea that a while back, I got to work on a really special project, and I was trying to get into the zone of creativity and inspiration, and I just started listening to music. The project was the idea of based in New York, and so I found this mashup of Frank Sinatra's New York, mashed up with Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind, and it was like this crazy mashup that so inspired me, and so I called the kitchen the concrete jungle, and so I often turn to music just to find inspiration, because I think it just really can create ultimately a euphoric mood.
I agree with nature, music. I think all of us are inspired by like everything that we see on a daily basis, just in general, but also travel. Going and experiencing different cultures and also different places. Like if you go to Europe and you see things that are old mixed with new, and just any kind of like experience like that.
Yeah, I mean, travel's huge for us because, I mean, we do it a lot for work and, you know, we like to go see other things, other trade shows. We like to go see like boutique hotels, see how people live in different parts of the world. I mean, it's pretty amazing
People
because
living on islands live a lot differently than people living in the city
or the landscape. I mean, we actually, our textile collection, we have based all the different textiles on different locations. So, and we think it's really important to travel us together. We think it's important to travel together as a duo. Like we're planning an inspiration trip to Mexico later this year. So, I mean, it's just it's really where you just kind of get to recharge, get rid of like all the layers of the stress, and then just sort of take it all in without any, you know, crazy outside influences or having to think too much about everything going on in the world.
And their fabric line is super awesome.
Thank you.
Totally vibe. They have this watercolor velvet palette that I've used on a few different custom chairs.
And it looks so good. Thank you.
It's my favorite. It's so good. You have to check it out.
So exciting.
Thank you.
Good plug.
Thank you. Thank you. Our work is done. We can leave now.
What about you? Are you traveling anywhere?
So I
Anytime
just
soon?
got back from Germany. I'm also with the NKBA Insider Program this year. So NKBA is working on this new initiative, the Global Connect program, and they're really trying to engage the kitchen and bath market on a much more global scale. So it was really amazing because we got to go to Living Kitchen in Germany, Cologne, Germany, and we got to go all over Germany actually to different manufacturers and factories, and so that was really fun because I've been through Germany before, but that was my longest stay there, and we got to see really unique areas of Germany that I would never go to if it wasn't for, you know, that ultimate experience and just connecting with the kitchen bath community on a much larger global scale.
Well, I recently got back from a trip to Australia, which was super fun, and we stayed on this island on the Great Barrier Reef called Badara, which is a series of thatched hut pavilions for all of the public space. So there's no like enclosed interior, which was really interesting just in terms of how they used the materials and how they actually facilitated like a kind of hospitality space, although it was very like small and quaint and get to know you. But the colors on the barrier reef, again, like not to go back to nature, but that was huge. And so for that, it was like this like mellow kind of sensory like experience. But then earlier, actually now it's last year, I was able to attend a dinner at Houghton Hall.
I'm dying to go there.
Which was incredible. And what was so incredible was this idea of like these old homes that are still kind of in the care of the original family who built them. Houghton was built in like 1732.
Oh my God.
And the styles that were mixed in. You know, you kind of have this idea like the rules of design, like if you're in Italy, it's going to look this way, and if you're in Germany, it's going to look this way. And what was so interesting was that throughout the course of history, this family had acquired so many pieces that were Moroccan, and they were Italian, and they were French, and it was just kind of like the story of their life told out through this, through the legacy of this home and all of the things that were there. So that was truly inspiring. And then to see, you know, a dinner laid for 80 and how they serviced that in a way that was true to the way that a dinner party would have been serviced in like the 1800s was incredible. So I think on both ends of the spectrum, from like a very formal aspect, like being inspired by just seeing how there really aren't any rules, and through the course of history, it's those mixing of, you know, different styles and to represent your travels and where you've been, and then to wind up on a beach in Australia with the thatched pavilions is like to see how many interpretations of design there are on the globe was like, you know, it kind of blows your mind.
Totally.
So I loved it.
Sounds terrible.
Are there interior designers or architects, you know, living or dead, that inspire you guys?
I have a really good friend, Lee Ledbetter.
Oh, he's great.
He's great, and he's not here for this plug, but he's just coming out with a new book. But he's a very, he had a house in the French Quarter for a long time that we visited. I visited very, very early in my career, kind of when I was still playing by the rules of like, it's got to be this way, this way, this way. And we had dinner at his house, and it was this beautiful, ornate, you know, French Quarter home, but in the midst, in his house was the most insane collection of modern art and modern furniture. And I think it was one of those like early moments of just being inspired by this idea that like, it doesn't have to match. It doesn't have to go. It has to be what you love, and in being so, like, it will be beautiful and it will work. Like I say, it works. It works. His kitchen also in that house was incredible because it was a glass atrium. It was a steel glass atrium that had this like palm court, because you know how they're like long and narrow houses, and it had this like palm pavilion and then this like glass atrium of a kitchen. And then he had the Martinique paper from
Beverly
Hills Hotel. And I was like, oh man, I got a lot to learn. It was like going to school. And so I think I'm hosting his book signing in San Francisco in the spring. And it's just like a full circle where you're like, you're my friend, yet I get so much inspiration from you.
Yeah.
And seeing your interpretation is very different than the way that I might have approached something, but it definitely led me to be better. And so I think I'm going to say Lee Ledbetter. He's my pal, and he's my inspiration.
I always, revert back to like when I started my journey in design, and I'm the kid that was like 5th, 6th grade, literally getting subscriptions to Architectural Digest, opening up those pages.
Subscribe to Architectural Digest.
That's true, factual.
That's true. Me too.
Thing.
Like since I was a kid.
And you just breaking open those pages, and there's just like these iconic names in design, and there's so many people that have like come through, the interior design and architecture world that you've kind of looked up to. But as I progressed, I knew that I wanted to really solidify my name in the sense of luxury kitchen. So I think it's always important, like when you're a student or someone younger, to kind of find your design hero, if you will. And there was always, 3 names in the sense of luxury kitchens that I always really respected. And to this day, very much respect them. Super talented designers, Mick DiGiulio, Christopher Peacock, and Matthew Quinn. Like those are 3 top kitchen designers that I have a ton of respect for, that I think do really beautiful work.
I think that's a really hard question. I don't know. I think, like Richard, I was just always inspired by things that I saw. I had friends that had really beautiful homes, and I was inspired by that. And I was inspired also by magazines and fashion. I watched. I don't know. Just for me, I think fashion is so inspirational, and even for design. And I remember watching Style with Elsa Clench on CNN as a kid, and I always thought that was so inspiring. I know that sounds so weird and cheesy, but just the patterns and colors and everything in fashion to me made me want to go into interiors. It's different, but kind of the same.
Yeah, I think much like them, Architectural Digest has always been the go-to, truthfully. And there wasn't exactly one person that inspired me, but it's really just looking through the pages and seeing the story of luxury and something to aspire to as a young designer, as a kid growing up. So it's always been really cool to see. But I think now that we're in this interior design realm, we're kind of from a business standpoint, there's a few designers that really stand out to me as far as what I want our firm to be like, and that we've talked about. And Thomas O'Brien, Kelly Wersler, people who blend product design with interior design and with commerce and do it really well and have a really clear point of view. I think that's so important in our industry, and I think it helps elevate our industry, because not only does it give that not only are they doing really luxurious work for individual clients, but they're also bringing that sense of luxury to the end user as well. So to me, I think that's really inspiring these days. So
totally, that's great. I'm so glad you guys mentioned looking at AD when you were young. We are so excited for AD Pro. We're actually going to have our full archive, eventually going back 100 years. That's going to be available to everybody who's a member on AD
That's
Pro.
so cool.
I'm personally so excited about it, because I saw a preview of it. It's going to be these really amazing, like, full bleed images. It's like full scans. And at the time of launch, we'll have our 10 years, like the past 10 years of archives, and eventually it's going to be 100 years, because AD is turning 100 next year in 2020, which is so cool.
Congratulations.
Yes.
We're so excited.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Great. So what are some projects you guys are working on right now?
Well, we're finishing up a couple big scale projects. One of which is this like massive landscape that we're building to accommodate an infinity pool. But in conjunction with that, we're doing a pool pavilion that has a glass ceiling that kind of projects above the topmost point of the pergola shade pavilion that's outside of it. I mean, it's really intense. But the way I sold this, I was like, imagine it's like the Louvre. It's like projecting above. And she was like, I mean, just for the mere fact that you described it as the Louvre, like we're doing it. But it's this little, change pavilion that has this glass ceiling that we're calling the lantern. And so it's been very involved in how you design lighting that can distribute equally throughout the spaces. And then how is it going to be viewed from the different parts of the property because it's situated kind of below. And in that same house, we're doing a 2-story staircase of like custom de Gournay redwood mural,
Awesome.
which we're going to be going to Shanghai with the client to see how it's actually produced and the artistry. And we're going to be documenting that as a story. And so, like, from the idea of taking this circular staircase and what works and how did we got to the redwood forest with the client is like such a journey. But I'm going to have like acid reflux for like 5 months until it gets like installed because it's so complicated and finite. But just the sheer ability to imagine something like that and then to see it complete is like, it's my opus. I might like mic drop when it's done.
Will you send me pictures when it's done?
Yes, absolutely.
I want to see.
So for me, the Monogram Appliance booth here at this show, that was a huge project with that, to get that all online. And so, that's really exciting to like see it in its fruition and seeing so many people engaging with it because it was, there's a tremendous effort. So certainly I'm excited about that. But in sense of actual client projects, I have a really amazing client. It's actually a contractor that we've worked with for years, and their family's building a home in Fort Lauderdale right now. Super contemporary, but we're trying to do it in a way that it's not austere, like it's really warm and interesting and tactile. And so I'm super excited about that. That's coming online and is in the midst of construction. And then we're known as a premier waterfront architect in Annapolis, Maryland. And so there's a lot of these really beautiful takes on shingle-style homes. We have a couple of them under construction right now. And there's actually a whole yacht marina. It's 11 residences and a whole marina that is all under execution. That is a really exciting project that we've been working on for quite some time that's been in design development. And then I have a really, 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 really big project that I can't say what it is just yet, but it will be coming online like this fall. So stay tuned because I'm totally gonna I'm really excited to be able to share that soon enough. And
Very
that's
intrigued.
all coming online. So I'm excited.
Well, we are working on a wide variety of things. We are working on our second collection with S. Harris. Can we say that? We can say that?
I don't really know, but you said it.
And
We said it.
Also translating our current collection into possibly like a hospitality and having, being on performance like ground cloths and things like that. But project-wise, we're working on a wide variety of projects in different styles from Mediterranean-style homes to a beautiful home that we're about to just photograph in Seattle that's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a super modern home. It's right on the water. It has glass from front to back, and has been really fun to do from an interior standpoint because there's so much glass. So thinking through the furnishings and thinking through the views has been really exciting. Like even the shower has a full pane of glass. Like literally everyone on the lake can see you shower, but that's what they wanted.
It's like a two-year process.
Yeah,
or
we've been
almost
working on it for 2
2.5
years. And then we have some fun new things we're starting. Like we're working on a penthouse pied-à-terre in Seattle, and it's just been really fun to start wrapping some cool projects and to start signing on new clients as well. So we're busy in a good way, but never too busy. Never too busy for new projects.
Never too busy. Never too busy for new projects. All right. Well, I think we have time for some questions. And you have the mic. You magically appeared when I said that.
For about 30 years, we've been getting by with plain white ceilings. Starting to see some applications to the ceiling. Is there a favorite application you have to ceiling treatments at all?
I mean, we do wall covering sometimes just to add a big pop, but also wood is a great way to warm up a ceiling.
Yeah, wallpaper is definitely back for ceilings, and plaster for sure. Back to my mirror. I love an antique mirror, like mixed into like a coffered ceiling, especially in a smaller space, like a butler's pantry or closets, especially.
We recently, actually a while back, we completed a project with antique mirror ceiling in the dining room. So it was amazing because everything just sort of sparkled when you were entertaining. So it's fun.
I always encourage people to think about just the smallest element of an architectural detail on the ceiling of some sort. You know, if you look at any of my work, there's always some sort of beam detail or something really to give the ceiling a little bit more definition, and ultimately because it is such a large surface area. So certainly encourage people to think about that. And you know, in you're thinking of a more cost-effective project, sometimes people don't find that to be face value the most practical, but there's so many little ways that just by adding an additional layer of drywall in certain areas to provide definition, and you can highlight it with some sort of paint pop, whatever it may be, there's a lot of different ways that you can add definition to the ceiling that creates wonderful detail.
He was trying to do that, telling me that at my house when he was at my house last weekend.
In her entryway, we laid out beamwork, and you know, it was free consultation, so she should be thanking me.
Hi, just wondering what your views are on lighting as it always progresses and there's lots of LED technology. What's your experiences?
Well, as we were just talking about ceilings, one of the things that is coming definitely into trend is these like recessed can replacements. So like companies like Urban Electric are using like really small, very petite flush mount light fixtures that are cool, and they're colorful, or they're mirrored, or they're really interesting. And having like a ceiling that's filled with 12 of them is actually like a very cool look in some applications. We recently were able to install 2 Neumberry light sculptures in a penthouse that we did in San Francisco. And that was a really interesting project because it made, it was looking at lighting as artwork, because Neumberry is, she's very well known now, Scottish, Irish. But she, I'm under pressure. There's lights. I can't. But
European.
Thank you. European. But looking at lighting as art has become a really big part of what we're doing, whether it's ceiling mounted like the Neumberry sculptures, or floor mounted. Like lighting is a huge it's a huge medium for artists now. So I think using it as artwork is a new trend.
Totally agree. And I think, ultimately we're here at the Kitchen Bath Industry Show, right? And I think there's so many kitchen and bath people that aren't necessarily thinking about how much decorative lighting can further enhance those spaces. And it just makes such a huge difference when you have a killer light fixture, and and really in the sense of like trends, thinking about those large overscale light fixtures, the 3 mini pendants down the line,
like the one
that's
you did in your kitchen in your booth is really beautiful.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And I also think integrated lighting too, like integrating lighting into architecture to create an ambiance, I think is so important. At a project we recently completed, of course, we did the under cabinet. We did have floating cabinets with under cabinet vanity lighting, which serves as a night light. When you need to head to the restroom in the middle of the night. But it also creates this really beautiful look. I think just integrating that into your millwork and even into the architecture it's fun, and it elevates everything that you do.
Layering lighting, could not agree more. It just further enhances the experience. And again, relating it back to kitchen and bath, something as simple now, it's like a standard in all of our projects in the master, popping open the standard drawers on a vanity and the lighting in the drawers. It's like people are like, oh my God, it's like, how could I have ever lived without this, right? And that's like heightens that luxury experience that we've been talking about.
Did anyone see that Kohler has this really cool vanity cabinet, and it's backlit, and it has a glass front, and if you put your foot under it, the glass...
I saw that. That's so
you
cool.
can see everything inside the cabinet, and then you put your foot back, and then it fogs back up. And I was like, I need that in my
That was crazy.
bathroom with my par.
Your
in my
perfect bathroom.
With your
That's where
wine
all my liquor
refrigerator
bottles will be.
and
Where you don't feel
sheds.
like folding your towels perfectly in there, you just...
Totally.
Hi, we're design students from California, and I just wanted to know, out of curiosity, what are you guys' educational background and even experiences that got you guys to where you are today?
So I studied interior design at Virginia Tech, and specifically, again, the program that I was a part of had an NKBA accredited program. So I got extremely active in the NKBA as a student, and just really dove into a lot of their educational side of that. And I know that's a huge initiative. Right now, again, with the NKBA, just realizing that there's a lot of different ways to further enhance your education, especially, again, in kitchen and bath.
I think education in your field is so important. We're both formally educated. We both have bachelors in interior design. We're both registered interior designers, and we won't hire any designer on our team that doesn't have a formal education. So I think for us as a firm, that's really important. Of course, it's not always necessary, but for us, it's really important.
And also, I mean, we started in commercial and hospitality, which I think that is a little different. Like, I feel like people require that. So we are certified. We have a license and everything, but not everybody has one. I mean, you
can definitely be
I don't want to dog
successful,
somebody that doesn't have one.
But I
because
just want to say props to you for pursuing your education.
I studied at Harrington Institute of Design in Chicago, Illinois, and I think that was a great experience, and it taught me how to draw, which was really critical. I don't love the AutoCAD so much. I find that communicating on like in person with clients, if I can pull my pencil out and just start drawing and kind of like manipulate like the words that are happening in the meeting to kind of accommodate a visual that describes what we're tracking towards. That's a super valuable skill, and it's kind of fading away now with this push towards technology. So I think that if it is available and not included in your curriculum, taking like a drawing class as well as like a positive and negative space class, I think is a really critical, it helps you, positive and negative space too, that's like such a great class if you can find one, because it really teaches you how to see things in a different way. And I think that also I agree 100%, education is amazing. I'm just going down a slightly different path. If while you're studying you can hook up with a design firm, that's great, but not just a design firm. While you're students, if you can get a job in your showroom, like if there's a design center around you, or even a retail design studio, what you wind up with is this kind of holistic view of how the process of design works, which if you are dealing with showrooms in your future, it might be very helpful to know how the showrooms like to be dealt with and what is the most efficient way to communicate the business of design. So I think that really looking for those opportunities, not just within design firms, but like also showrooms and retailers and wherever you can get the experience is just going to help you be better as you move into your career.
And certainly to further expand on Alison's point there, the thought process that education is important, but it's not going to teach you the natural experience of all facets of the business, right? Like you get into, I always think it's really interesting in design school, you get like a hypothetical Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and here's their criteria and design this space, right? But then you actually, once you start
Mr. and
working,
Mr. Smith?
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Mr. and Mrs.
And
Smith
it's like,
aren't always
okay,
like
they're sitting
they
across from you, and they're a real person, and you're on this journey with them for years or whatever it may be, months in their project, and that's a real relationship, and that's not easily taught.
No, like you get out of school and you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like,
Yeah,
this is
also-
No,
nothing
but
like
it's
what
true.
I
But
learned,
the sketching part, I agree with you 100%. We
Sketching
get
is
all of
huge.
these resumes and stuff, and nobody knows how to use a pencil anymore.
Because it's communication,
Yeah.
and like that's another panel discussion.
No, it's true.
But it is this ability to like really connect with people, and I think that right now technology is so saturated in every facet of all of our lives that you really have a hard time understanding what a need of another is if you're not actually like connecting with them on a very like cellular and intimate level. So I think that the sketching is, but also like get out there and meet Mr. and Mrs. Smith or shadow someone who is practicing so you can see like all of the things that we do. Is like the glamorous part is like, you know, like this, and then it's
know.
problem solving and critical thinking and
So to that exact point, as a point of reference, Monday I got to present at the NKB Design Comp. Awesome moment, got a lot of positive feedback. Immediately following that event, I was wearing a tux, ran back to my hotel, changed to sweats, and was in this show floor till 3 a.m. staging
putting
that
something
booth.
together.
Right.
Yeah.
So like that's the stuff that like people have no idea that happens right behind the scenes. Last night I was here till 7 a.m. photographing that booth. Up all night. It's
But
just like
that's
to make
what makes
it
it
happen.
excellent.
Yep.
And so I think like having that like your really foundational knowledge that like you're going to be asked to do things that your little design eyes you shouldn't even hear about, but you should do it. You have to be able to like get in and get your hands dirty, learn how to wire a sconce, learn how to like how does the plumbing work in that. Learn what's behind the wall. Like that's all going to help you be better designers and better specifiers and like be excellent at your craft is understanding all components of it.
One more very quick AD Pro plug. We're actually going to have a job board on the site, which is going to be really great for designers who are looking for assistance. So something to keep in mind. All right. Any other questions? On AD Pro. So if you go to arcdigestpro.com, Jeff right there is handing you a card. There are cards everywhere. Do we have any other questions? Oh, okay. I think we have to wrap up now. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you to my panelists. This was so
Thanks for
interesting
having
and
us.
exciting.
Thank you.
And if you guys have any questions for me or my team, I'm here. I can talk to you guys more about AD Pro. Thanks, guys.
Enjoy the rest of the show,
Thanks,
everybody.
have a good show.
Thank you.